Hey, this is Joe. Thanks for coming to the Riggio Guitars YouTube channel. It's been a little while since I've done a video like this, but this is a really rare and perfect opportunity, so I thought I'd take advantage of it and share it with everyone. So it's a little bit of info and discovery about white finishes from the Gibson factory in the 60s. There's a little bit of mystery and a lot of rumor and speculation about how they were finished. They were definitely finished a little bit differently than most of the other colors. And I'm going to kind of point out my interpretation of what I've seen here because it proves a couple of things in my opinion. It is just my opinion. I wasn't there, and neither were you. So again, this is just my opinion based on what I've seen in the past and what I'm looking at right here. So this is a 62 Gibson SG Special, and it is in Polaris white. And the speculation from a lot of people is that these were either painted in polyurethane, enamel, or not lacquer, that they don't have a clear coat. And that is probably the most true statement, is that they don't have the traditional clear coat, or they would be much more yellow than they are now, like a TV, the old lime mahogany finish from the TV models, which yellow quite a bit. That's actually what makes them yellow. Those guitars were about this color when they were new, funny enough. The clear coat turns yellow. We call it TV yellow these days, but that's how it was created. These don't do that unless sometime in the 70s they started clear coating them. Some of them. That's the funny thing. So a lot of gray areas there, but I've got some really cool examples here that prove a couple of things. So that is why these typically have these really thick, deep checking marks. Because when you're painting a guitar a color without a clear coat, you've got to have enough clear on it to polish, at least polish. I don't know if these were sanded and polished like we do these days. Just, again, there's no real evidence record of that kind of information, but it definitely had to be thick enough to at least go to a polisher and not sand through the color, where normally a clear coat would be the barrier between your polish and your color. So you would sand and polish the clear coat. You don't touch the color coat. This is a little different because there's no clear. They had to put enough material on there to do that. And that's why they blacklight a little bit differently too. So if we look at this under blacklight, kind of hard to tell because it's a little bit too light in this room, but it doesn't have the same glow that a typical clear coat does when you blacklight it. But the headstock does, because there's clear over the black and the logo on these, but not anywhere else. I have done tests, and these guitars were painted with lacquer, possibly acrylic lacquer, possibly nitrocellulose lacquer. Not entirely sure, but it's not enamel, it's not urethane. It melts immediately on contact with acetone, like lacquer does. So they're definitely lacquer, and that would make sense with the lacquer top coat. It's all got to be, kind of from the same system, or at least compatible. So one thing to substantiate this is an extremely, extremely rare guitar that I have here from 1966, an ES 335 in factory white. I've never seen one of these in person. I've never seen a photograph of one of these, but it is a factory job. Everything falls in line with that. Another interesting thing about the white guitars is they typically painted right over the white binding on the neck. You can see it poking through here where there's a wear. The player has worn through the white, exposing the binding. But what's really great about this and the forensics that this offers is it's a bound guitar. It's a bound body. And it clearly shows that there's no clear on this binding. It retains its full natural color, this royalite binding from the 60s. Normally that would be very yellowed from time from the clear coat on top of it yellowing. So this is fully exposed, and you can see right at the seam here where it was scraped away like Gibson does, and so do I on restorations and on Regio guitars. Scraped the white off of the binding to expose it, and there's no clear coat after that process, that step that would normally be there. So this is a really cool, just a little element of proof that there's no clear coat on these white guitars from the 60s. And here's another little kicker. There's a little spot right here where you can see where the scraping happened, and then some of the white chipped away to reveal a little spot of binding, and it glows. See that right there? It glows like a typical clear coat would glow. And that's the clear sealer underneath the white coats. So in my opinion, these were generally done in that fashion. Clear sealer, and then a bunch of white. You can see that this is doing the same thing. They're really deep checking that goes all the way to the bone. See how dark colored the cracks are? That's just because it's going all the way through the color. It's all one finish. It's not clear on top of color. Again, had to be thick enough to polish, and that's why they behave this way. You start to see the yellowing on some of like the white customs in the 70s. But funny enough, I had a 76 Explorer that was painted more like this. So they eventually went to clear coat, and that's why you see a lot of other white guitars from the later periods yellow quite a bit, and these just kind of stay this bone color. So they do yellow a little bit. You can tell, I think the camera's capturing, the SG is a little more yellow than the 335, and that's just because, just like clear, the white paint is going to darken and yellow depending on its living conditions. So thanks for watching. This is a kind of a really rare glimpse into a mysterious finish from the 60s. Thanks for watching.